And so I want us to look at the causes of the 1789 French Revolution. So we've seen the background of the revolution. I want us now to look at the causes. So the causes were as analyzed below. So one of the causes is the despotic nature of the French monarchy. We normally say the nature of the ancient regime, whereby we sum up. So the ancient regime was full of despotism. When we talk about despotism, we try to display to you what we call dictatorship. Despotism means dictatorship. Are we together? So the ancient regime was full of despotism. It was full of dictatorship in short terms. Are we together? So the Bourbon monarchy, or we say the Bourbons by then were too despotic. So they believed in what we call divine rights, or the divine right theory of kingship. For them, they believed that their leadership, they used to believe, or they believed that their leadership was given to them by God, not by the will of the people. Actually, they used even to say, I am a king by the will of God, but not by the will of the people. That is already, it is already a statement that shows that for you, you are not ruling because of the people's will, but you are ruling because of God's will. Therefore, people do not have say over your leadership except God who brought you into that position. So that was a statement that was used by the Bourbons, who believed that their leadership came from God. Therefore, no man has the authority over their throne. So they were too despotic. They over-exercise their despotism over the masses. So this theory made many French masses to get annoyed. Why? The Bonapartists, the Bourbons, they are not Bonaparte, but they are Bourbons. They believed that no man has authority over them on earth, but it is them to have authority over man on earth. Therefore, for them they were kings by divine being, by divine will, not by the human will. So they believed in the divine right or theory of kingship, by which they considered themselves representatives of God on earth, and as such they were answerable to God only and God alone, and not to any human being. So the Bourbons monarchy, all the Bourbon families, they believed that it is only God that they could answer to. They believed that it is only God that could ask about their leadership. They were not answerable to any human being, but they were instead answerable to only God. So the costly wars of Louis XVI led to the financial depression, which stopped only after the revolution. So the successor of Louis were actually, let me say, they were incompetent. Are we together? So leadership in the Bourbon family was full of corrupt leaders, despotic leaders, let me say dictatorial leaders, who were not advised, who were doing things the way they wanted because they took themselves to be next to God. So at the end of the day, it brought problems to France. Corruption was the song of the day. Embezzlement, abuse of human rights, denial of citizenship, abuse of a lot of evils took place in the Bourbon's monarchy. So all such evils annoyed the masses to the extent of picking arms to show their grievance against the Bourbon ruling family. And likewise, we shall see in 1917, when the Russians were fed up of the Tsar family or the Tsardom. So the masses did not fight because they wanted, but because of the nature of the ancient regime. Ancient regime was characterized by despotism. Ancient regime was characterized by nepotism. Ancient regime was characterized by unemployment. Ancient regime was characterized by corruption. Ancient regime was characterized by abuse of human rights. It was characterized by censorship of the place. A lot of evils were done within the Bourbon monarch as they were trying to consolidate their position. But at the end of the day, it ended up bringing for them problems. King Louis went further in 1774 and married from their traditional enemy, that is Queen Marie Antoinette, who was a princess of Austria, and Austria was historically an enemy of France. So this could not leave France the way it was before. So another cause of the 1789 French Revolution, we have what we call the social causes. We say, so the most important cause of the French Revolution was the social cause. So the revolution of 1789 France was much less a rebellion against despotism than a rebellion against equality. Are we together? So the French society was divided into privileged classes and the non-privileged classes. We normally say in history, social stratification over class division. France was divided into three classes, with each class enjoying its own privileges. We have the first class. This first class was comprising of the clergy. The second phase or the second class was that of the middle class, which also enjoyed a number of privileges. Then we had the third class, that is the peasant class and the bourgeoisie class. Still, they also enjoyed different privileges. So class division was already enough to divide France into different channels. And to make the matters worse, when these classes were divided, still there are more inside divisions. For example, if you look at the first class, comprised of the clergies, but still the clergies also had the lower clergies and the upper clergies. Still even the nobles, they had the upper nobles and the lower nobles. In Uganda, we normally call the nobles abakungu. So these people owned the land, large chunks of land. They owned the property, they lived the luxurious type of life, and yet the people that they were controlling, they were living poor standards of lives. They controlled the schools, the clergies and the nobles. They carried out taxation, they are the one in charge of taxation. So for them, they are just taxing people, building mansions, and people are living poor standards of lives. So this annoyed the French masses who wanted to have a fair kind of life. People were living poor lives. People were overtaxed. Are we together? So this made the masses who are the victims of the things done by the monarchy, overtaxation, embezzlement, corruption, all these things were done. But still at the end of the day, the masses could not let things go. They had to put a stop by staging what we call a revolution that resulted into the reign of terror. So if you look at the percentage of these groups, the clergy, the nobles, they were less. But at the end of the day, the percentage which was higher, was not privileged, was not given privileges. So this annoyed the clergies, this annoyed the peasants, this annoyed the middle classes who had only one result, and this is the picking arms and revolt against the ruling monarchy. We have what we call the contributions of the peasants. The role played by the peasants also led to the outbreak of the 1789 French Revolution. The peasantry class played a significant role towards the outbreak of the 1789 French Revolution. Remember very well that the peasants were the less privileged. And at the end of the day, they were the overtaxed people. Their children were denied opportunity of studying. They were all denied opportunities of studying in good schools. Their children were discriminated in different public offices. Everything. When it came to the army, their children were denied promotions. When it came to army, their children were given one uniform. Everything that was not good, it was done on the peasant class. So this annoyed them. The extent of joining forces with the bourgeoisie to organize a revolution that at the end of the day caused troubles for the ruling monarchy. And by 1793, Baboni monarchy had been ended. And King Louis XVI was the last nail in the coffin of Baboni monarchy. So the revolution did not leave France the way it is. So common people, when you talk about the conditions of the common people, we are talking about the peasant class. The peasant class lived the miserable life, which was full of diseases, overtaxation, unfair education, discrimination, among others. This caused the 1789 French Revolution. I beg to submit from here. Have a good day.